Welcome, everyone. One of the best ways to prepare for the IELTS speaking test is to see it in action. That's exactly what we're doing today with this complete mock test from Spinta. As you listen, think about what the candidate does well and where they could improve. Afterwards, we'll compare notes with a full performance breakdown. Let's begin.
Good morning. My name is Mark. Can I have your full name, please?
Good morning. Yes, my name is Lina Gonzalez. You can call me Lina. Thank you for having me today.
Right. Where are you from?
I am from a medium-sized city in central Colombia called Manizales. It is up in the mountains and the weather is usually cool. I moved to the capital for study some years ago, but, well, my family still live there, so I go back every few months.
Do you live there now or somewhere else?
Actually, I have been lived here for 5 years in Bogota for my university and then work. Sorry, what I mean is I have lived here for 5 years. It was difficult at the beginning because the city is very big and noisy, but I like the opportunities it gives.
I see. Now I am going to ask you some questions about home and family. First, can you describe your home?
My home is a small apartment on the 4th floor with a nice little balcony. It is not very new, but it is comfortable enough. There is a living room, kitchen, 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. The kitchen is my favorite place because I like to cook, and the balcony has plants that I grow, some herbs and flowers, which give a calm feeling.
Who do you live with?
I live alone now because my sister she moved to Spain 2 years ago. It was strange at the beginning to be by myself, but I enjoy the independence. On weekends sometimes my parents come to visit, or my friends stay over, so it is not always quiet.
How often do you see your family?
I try to visit them every 2 or 3 months, when work schedule allows. Also we talk on the phone many times, usually video calls on Sundays. It helps to keep close even when we are far apart. When there is a special event like birthday or holiday, I travel home even if it is for a short time.
Right. Now about work or study. Are you working or studying at the moment?
I'm working full-time as a project coordinator for a small NGO. My job includes planning community events, writing reports, and communicating with sponsors. I really like that my work has a social focus, but sometimes the paperwork is boring and it takes a lot of time. I studied communications at university, which helps in this role.
What do you enjoy most about your job?
What I enjoy most is seeing real people benefiting from our projects. For example, a workshop we organized last year for youth employment. When participants tell us they found a job or learned a useful skill, it feels very rewarding. Also, I like working with a small team, so we are close and flexible.
How long have you been doing this work?
I have been working there about 3 years. I started as an intern, and then they offered me a paid position. In this time I have learned a lot, especially how to manage budgets and how to write proposals. I hope to continue and maybe study a short course in project management later.
Okay. Let's move on to hobbies. What do you like to do in your free time?
In my free time I like reading, listening to music and going for runs in the park. I am very interested about music, especially Latin American folk and some indie bands. I listen while I cook or when I travel on the bus. I also draw sometimes, nothing professional, just sketching for relaxation. It helps me to switch off from work stress.
How long have you had these hobbies?
I have been reading since I was a child because my mother, she loved books and took me to library every weekend. Running is more recent, maybe 5 years ago, when I wanted to improve my health. Drawing started during the pandemic as a way to keep calm when I was at home a lot.
What do you enjoy most about running?
I like the feeling of finishing a run and the energy it gives me for the day. It clears my mind and physically I feel stronger. Sometimes I run with friends, which makes it social and fun. Also, it is cheap, you only need good shoes and the city parks.
Now, about daily routine. Can you describe a typical weekday for you?
On a normal weekday, I wake up early at 6, make coffee, and do quick stretching. Then I go to work. Usually I take public transport, and it takes about 40 minutes. At work, I check emails, attend meetings, and coordinate tasks. I usually have lunch with colleagues around 1. After work, I either go for a short run or meet a friend, or sometimes just cook and read at home. I try to go to bed by 11 so I have enough sleep.
Has your daily routine changed recently?
Yes, since last year I try to wake earlier to have more calm in the morning and to run. Before I used to stay up late working and it was not healthy. This change made me more productive during the day.
Lastly, in part 1, what are your plans for the near future?
In the near future, I want to take a short professional course to improve my skills, maybe in monitoring and evaluation. Also, I plan to save money to travel to Peru to visit a friend. Longer term, I would like to have more responsibility at work or even start a small social enterprise with friends. I know it is ambitious, but I think it is possible with planning.
Okay. Thank you. Now we move to part 2. I will give you a topic and you will have 1 minute to prepare. You should then speak for 2 to 3 minutes. Here is your topic. Describe a memorable event you attended. You should say what the event was, where and when it happened, who was there, and explain why it was memorable. You have 1 minute to prepare.
Thank you. Well, the most memorable event I attended was a community festival in my neighborhood last year. It was in July, by the small plaza near my apartment, and it celebrated local food, music, and crafts. Many people from the community came, neighbors, small business owners, artisans, and some local musicians. I was there with my friend Carla, who helps with events at the NGO. We set up a small stall to show our project work and offered activities for kids. The festival had bright decorations, colorful banners, and there was a live band playing traditional songs which made the atmosphere very joyful. What made it memorable was seeing the impact in real life. A family came to our stall, and the father told us that because of one of our training workshops, his daughter had found an apprenticeship. He was crying a little and hugging us, and at that moment I felt the work was really meaningful. Also, I learned practical things about organizing an event, how to set up a timetable, coordinate volunteers, and manage small budgets. Another memorable part was when evening arrived, and the plaza filled with lights, and people were dancing, children running, and food smells everywhere. I remember thinking it was a perfect mix of community and celebration, and that those moments gave me energy to continue the work despite the hard days. Overall, it was not only fun, but it confirmed my reason to work in community projects, because you see the human side of your efforts.
Thank you. Can I ask, what did you personally do to prepare for that event?
Yes. I helped coordinate volunteers and designed a simple leaflet to explain our activities. I also organized a short workshop for teenagers about writing CVs and job interviews and arranged materials. On the day I was there early to set up tables and to talk with other stall holders. It felt stressful in the morning, but by midday everything was flowing. In the morning I was stressed, but later I relaxed when people started arriving.
Right. What was the most difficult part of the day?
The most difficult part was managing time and volunteers, because some people arrived late and some activities overlapped. We had to adapt quickly and ask colleagues to cover. Also, the sound system had a problem for a while, so we moved the workshop to a quieter place. It taught me to be flexible and to keep calm under pressure.
Okay, thank you. Now, part 3. I will ask some questions about memorable events and community activities. First, why do you think people enjoy attending community festivals?
I think people enjoy community festivals because they bring a sense of belonging and pleasure that is different from daily routine. Festivals create a shared experience where people meet neighbors, taste local food, and enjoy music. For many, it is a break from work and a way to express culture. Also, they often support small businesses and local artists, which gives a feeling of connection and pride.
How important are these events for local culture?
They are very important because they keep traditions alive and give a stage for cultural expression. For example, in my city there are folk dances and crafts that otherwise might be forgotten. Festivals allow young people to see and learn from older generations. They also help to create identity and continuity in a community.
Do you think organized events should be supported by government or private companies?
I believe there should be a mix of support. Government funding helps to ensure access and fairness, especially for events that are not commercially profitable but culturally valuable. Private companies can bring extra resources and efficiency, but sometimes they prioritize profit over community benefit. So, partnership model with clear rules and community involvement is best.
How do community activities affect social relationships?
They strengthen social ties because people meet, collaborate, and exchange ideas. Activities like volunteering create networks and trust. For example, after volunteering at the festival, I became closer to neighbors I only saw before in the elevator. On the other hand, if events are exclusive or poorly managed, they can create tensions, so inclusivity is important.
Do you think technology changes the way people take part in community events?
Yes, technology changes participation a lot. Social media helps to promote events quickly and reach more people. Online registration can make organization easier, and apps can coordinate volunteers. But there is a risk that digital promotion replaces face-to-face connection, so it's important to use technology to enhance, not replace, human interaction.
How might festivals develop in the future?
In the future, festivals might be more hybrid, combining physical and virtual elements so people who cannot travel can join online. Sustainability will also be key, with less waste and more local sourcing. I think organizers will focus on inclusivity and accessibility, and technology will be used for interactive experiences, but the core will remain human connection.
Do you think young people are less interested in community traditions these days?
It depends. Some young people are less interested because of globalized culture and online entertainment, but many others are very engaged, especially when traditions are presented in a modern way. Young people often bring creativity to traditions, for example, mixing contemporary music with folk, and that can attract wider audiences.
What skills do people gain from organizing events?
Organizing events gives practical skills like budgeting, communication, negotiation, problem solving, and teamwork. It also develops empathy and cultural awareness because you have to consider different groups' needs. For younger people, this experience can be very valuable when they look for jobs, because employers like candidates who show initiative and leadership.
Do you think volunteering at community events should be encouraged in schools?
Yes, I think schools should encourage volunteering because it teaches civic responsibility and practical skills outside the classroom. Short programs or partnerships with local organizations can give students experience and help communities at the same time. But there should be proper support and reflection so students understand the value of their work.
Finally, if you could organize any event, what would it be?
If I could organize any event, it would be a youth skills fair that combines workshops, job opportunities, and creative performances. I would include practical sessions on CVs, interviews, and entrepreneurship, plus space for young artists to perform. The idea would be to empower youth with skills and a platform to show their talent and to connect them with local employers and mentors.
Thank you. That is the end of the speaking test.
The candidate demonstrated Band 6 level performance. Notable grammatical errors included saying I have been lived here for 5 years instead of I have lived here for 5 years, and saying I am very interested about music instead of I am very interested in music, and saying my mother she loved books, which shows unnecessary subject duplication. These errors appeared occasionally across Part 1 and Part 2, but they did not prevent the listener from understanding the message. Error frequency was moderate. Grammatical slips and occasional wrong prepositions occurred in different parts of the test, often during longer answers, when the candidate tried to use more complex structures. Fluency was generally good with a natural pace and extended answers. There were some hesitations, short pauses, and minor self-corrections, such as, "Sorry, what I mean is," which is appropriate at this level. Vocabulary range was adequate. The candidate used useful words like coordinator, monitoring and evaluation, sustainability and inclusivity, but sometimes word choice was imprecise or slightly informal. Grammatically, the candidate shows strength in forming coherent paragraphs and linking ideas, but weakness with article use, some verb tenses, and occasional subject-verb agreement. The overall band score of 6.5 is justified because communication was clear and coherent, with good organization and a reasonable range of vocabulary, but systematic grammatical inaccuracies and occasional imprecise vocabulary prevented a higher band. To reach band 7, the candidate would need more consistent accuracy in complex grammar, fewer preposition and article errors, and slightly greater precision in vocabulary use while maintaining the current fluency and coherence. Thank you for practicing with this IELTS speaking mock test. Visit Spinta for more comprehensive mock tests and personalized feedback to boost your IELTS score.